And I think we're live. Hi, everyone. I am Sarge's daughter from vets.com and veterans.org. This is the U.S. Veterans YouTube channel that's connected to vets.com and veterans.org. This is my first time doing a live, so I will probably be fumbling a lot. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure this is working. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure it was working. All right. So yes, as I just mentioned, I am Sarge's daughter from vets.com. I am actually the daughter of Charles Napier, who created vets.com and veterans.org. And so this is very surreal for me right now. He, created all the content back in the 90s for veterans. That was his heart and his mission, was to help all veterans. And I definitely helped him a lot at that time also, just creating little graphics and helping him with a little bit of the paperwork in the background. We sent out a lot of mail, and for those who used to visit vets.com, I just want to say thank you on behalf of my dad. Your support and the interactions that he had, I know that it just meant a lot to him. And I know that this is many years later, but I know that was his heart, and he was just so grateful for all the interactions that he had, and so grateful and honored that we were able to help you in any way that we could, and especially him, because he had asked Sarge, and he just tried to answer all your questions the best that he could. He was such a fountain of knowledge, and so it was just really unfortunate and unexpected that in 2004 he passed away. It was totally out of nowhere. We thought he was going to get better, and he was still thinking about the website. He was still thinking about what to do next, how to improve it, what to change, keeping up with the times as technology was also progressing. I mean, he was just on it. But unfortunately, just with all the medical problems that he was dealing with, he passed away, although still unexpectedly. But I just wanted to say thank you, and I want to say personally for myself, I apologize that unfortunately, due to where I was in my life, I was not able to carry on at that time what my dad wanted to do. I just wasn't, I didn't have all the things that I needed to be able to continue that. But thankfully, I met my husband, and who is known as the specialist over on vets.com. He's also a veteran himself, and he is actually really the reason why vets.com is back on the grid. And he has just poured so much time and effort into it. And so I want to thank him, but I just also want to apologize to everyone who was with vets.com at the very beginning, that I had to just shut it down for as long as I did. Because I still have a heart for veterans. Because I grew up around veterans. It was my life, interacting with them and just supporting them however I could at my young age. And now being able to see vets.com come back to life. And I was actually in school, which is why I haven't really been as involved until now. I'm finishing it up, my master's degree. So hopefully I'll be able to devote more time now to not only this YouTube channel, but also vets.com and veterans.org, because we do have a few ideas that we would like to implement to help our veterans out there. And so this site is definitely dedicated to you, all veterans. Pretty much anyone who has served in the U.S. military, we're here for you. Whether you have the official status of veteran or not, if you've served in the U.S. military, we are so grateful to you. We are so thankful for your service, for going in and putting your life on the line, whether you went to a dangerous area or not. The fact that you still joined the U.S. military, that is still such an we honor you. We really truly do. So anyways, I hope that yeah, we can definitely, or our hope is to continue to follow my father's vision, but we also know that this is a different time now. There's things are different, so we're definitely going to be adjusting where we need to, but we're definitely keeping my dad's vision alive for this website, vets.com, and hopefully we can also do some good here on the YouTube channel as well. So yeah, here we go. So since this is my first live, I just want to try, this is more of a test run for me. So I'm going to be doing a news article, just one. It was something that I just saw a couple of days ago, even though it's been going on for a while, apparently. But once I saw it, I was a little shocked, surprised, and I would like to address it. So here we go. I do want to mention too, though, like, you know, I guess because of YouTube legalities, I just want to mention that nothing that I will say is going to be legal advice, medical advice, whatever kind of advice you can think of. My background, my master's is going to be in Master's of Divinity, so I'm not giving any pastoral advice either. All things that I say is meant more to just kind of keeping up with the news regarding veterans. Hopefully it's educational, and it's just my thoughts and opinions. So we'll just leave it at that. And there we go. So the news that I would actually like to cover for today is regarding, as you'll see in the thumbnail, it's regarding ICE and the VA. And I did not know that this was going on since 2002. That's a very long time, and not knowing about it. So here we go. Let's. So this article is going to be from military.com. We thank you for covering this for sure. I gotta turn this on. There we go. Okay. I do have the link in the description for this article. So we're just gonna read through it, and I'll just kind of give you my thoughts and opinions about it. I mean, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. So the article starts with a 22-year-old arrangement between the Departments of Veterans Affairs and Immigration and Customs Enforcement has drawn ire from conservatives in Congress who claim it puts health care for detained migrants over that of veterans. But VA officials say it has no impact whatsoever on veteran services or health care and costs the agency nothing. Since 2002, the VA's Financial Services Center, or FSC, has processed medical claims for an ICE program office that is responsible for providing health care for migrants detained by the Border Security Agency. The VA Center facilitates the same work under separate contracts for a variety of other federal offices. So I found another article from Military Times, and they mention that those other offices are the Department of Defense, Surface Transportation Board, Indian Health Service, and Office of Refugee Resettlement. So I thought that was quite interesting because I had no idea that this was going on. So the long-standing agreement with ICE has certainly become a political football amid attacks from lawmakers and conservative advocates. Okay, so that's more political. Okay. So in December, let's go to the actual issue. I don't want to go into politics. I just want to talk about the issue. In December, Illinois Republican Representative Mike Bost, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and Senator Tommy Tuberville, who represents Alabama, introduced That's Alabama, right? Okay. Introduced a bill called the No VA Resources for Illegal Aliens Act, which would prohibit the VA from using resources to provide healthcare or process claims for migrants. In rolling out the proposed legislation, Boss described being stonewalled by the Biden administration in obtaining answers on the arrangement, which has been in place since the George W. Bush administration. I just think it's just amazing that this has been going on so long. And Bost is definitely, he wants to get his answers. The VA official said Thursday that while taxpayer funding is used to process the healthcare claims, ICE, not the VA pays for the work. And VA Press Secretary Terrence Hayes added the VA has never provided healthcare to migrant detainees. The quote is from Hayes, is VA does not provide or fund any health care to ICE detainees. There is a 2002 payment processing agreement in which ICE pays for the FSC to process payments for ICE-funded health care. This involves no more than 10 employees, is fully paid for by ICE, and has been in place for every administration since 2002. Okay. I'm going to take his word for it that, at least none of the funding that goes to the VA is being used. But I think I have a lot of questions. And he makes a point that there's no more than 10 employees and it's fully paid for by ICE. My first question is, I don't know actually how many employees are in the FSC, is how many employees that they have. So is 10 employees a small number, or is it a large number? I'm not sure. But I think for me is that in my mind, the way that I'm processing this is that they are still employees of the VA, right? In the FSC section. So if you are employed by the VA, even if the funding is coming from ICE, so no VA money is being spent on this, but they are still employees of the Veterans Affairs, right? So in my mind, because my background is in a lot of administrative assistant work, so I've done a lot of clerical work, and even if I would imagine myself doing clerical work, if you're processing claims, that's a lot of time though. So even if you're being paid by the appropriate source, that's still time that I would imagine that they could be using to process veterans claims. So even if they are being paid and that arrangement is all solid, that's still time. And, we like to use that expression, time equals money, right? Or something like that. But this is also time that should be devoted to veterans because they've been hired under the Veterans Affairs. So that's the way that I'm processing this. So even if the money flow is still where it needs to be, the time that they're spending, I feel should still be with veterans because they were hired for veterans. That's what the whole Veterans Affairs is about, they're there to help veterans. So even if all the money is squared away, I personally, my opinion is this is not how it should be done. And I'm not going to talk about ICE detainees. That's a separate issue. This site is devoted to veterans, and the veterans issue is all that I want to talk about. I might have my own personal opinions about what's going on in that area, but my focus is going to be on veterans. So my thought is, why wasn't a different agency created, or why wasn't ICE able to create their own administrative block and hire people there? I get that maybe the 10 employees, they're trained, right? They know how to do this. They have the skill sets. They know how to process these claims. So maybe it was just easier to just hand it off to them. But it just doesn't seem to make sense to me that we're using 10 employees of the VA to process claims that have nothing to do with veterans. They should be focused on veterans. I think especially with the last year we had the PACT Act. So there was a huge push, and there's so many more claims now that are being filed. And maybe the FSC doesn't initially process that. I don't know. It sounds like they're the department that does medical claims. Um, so I'm not sure what process they would come into, but that is still time that needs to be given to veterans. Some of our veterans don't have enough time. And I think our the leaders who created this and are now overseeing it, especially the ones who are now overseeing this right now, I think they really need to consider making some changes here and making sure that all of our employees in the VA are dedicated to just dealing with our veterans. We just have too many veterans out there. They don't have time. And there's already a backlog. We know about this. There's a backlog. Some veterans, it just takes, seems like forever for them to get the care that they need. So my opinion right now, based off of what I'm reading in this article, it is still time that they need to devote to veterans, even if they're being paid by ICE. That's, that needs to be clear, I think. So in a recent statement to the New York Post, Tuberville's office said the Biden administration was playing word games and accused the VA of allowing detainees to access its community care network, which provides private health care services to veterans outside VA clinics and medical centers. So those are accusations. It would be interesting to see if there is actually a paper trail or evidence of that. By definition, that means worse options for our veterans. And I think just the 10 employees taking that time, that's really where it starts. They need to use that time for our veterans. So under the agreement, however, the ICE Health Service Corps, or IHSC, Program Office is responsible for authorizing healthcare services for detainees and obtaining providers to deliver their healthcare. Okay. No resources meant for veterans are used as part of this agreement. FSC provides an administrative function for ICE using ICE funds that has zero impact on veterans' healthcare or benefits, Hayes said in a statement. I disagree. The resource that we're talking about is time. Time that needs to be used for our veterans, especially for those who don't have enough time. And I think they're missing that point. It's not just about money. It's not just about who they're getting paid by. It's about the time that they're using. So again, they provide this claims processing function in return for IHSC paying a fee to FSC. Okay. None of the employees have been diverted from other roles, and no resources meant for veterans are used as part of this agreement, Hayes added. Again, I think they're missing the point. Those employees hired by Veterans Affairs needs to be working on issues for veterans. That's where their time needs to go. That's the resource that we're talking about here, I think. And so I think they're missing the mark there on that one. I disagree with no resources meant for veterans. Yeah, no. The time resource needs to be used for veterans, and it's being used for other agencies. So unless they want to completely break apart that agency, which I don't think they should probably create new ones that can handle all the paperwork for all the claims for the other agencies besides ICE that they're helping with. We need to focus on our veterans when it comes to Veterans Affairs. So the ICE Health Service Corps provides health care to immigrants in ICE custody, including direct care and coordination of offsite care. Okay. In fiscal 2021, IHSC paid VA $74.7 million to provide medical claims processing and support referral for outside care, according to a 2022 report to the Senate and House Homeland Security Committees. That's a lot of money. Okay. According to the report, in fiscal 2021, IHSC provided healthcare directly to 88,000 immigrants. Okay. So, Yeah, I've already stated it. I've already stated my opinion. It is not about the money right here. It is about time. And they really need to appreciate. I'm not going to talk about the other. I'm not going to talk about ICE and that issue. The issue here is that, as you know, for us taxpayers, we want the funding for the VA and hiring. So yeah, the VA took time to hire these people. There's all sorts of little there's roads here that we're not considering. Like the VA, they have taken the time to hire these people. They are here to be processing medical claims, and they're supposed to be focusing on veterans, being that it's the Veterans Affairs. So, and yet they get hired, and now they're processing claims for other agencies. And I think that is still a disservice to our veterans, and we are totally not thinking about the time that it takes for them to process these medical claims. That time can be used for our veterans. So I know I'm beating a dead horse here. I'm sorry. So in light of this article, I was thinking about, like what I'm glad that I want to make sure I get his title right. My apologies. That the representative Bost has, or Bost, I don't know how to say his name, sorry. I'm glad that he has brought this as an issue. So the committee, the VA committee, so they have now introduced a bill. It is currently in the, so there's a track. So if you go to congress.gov, you can look up bills. And so right now it's in the introduced portion. The next step, I believe, is to be passed in the Senate. So it says that there's a summary in progress, and honestly, it's a very short bill. It doesn't need a summary. So if we take a look at the text, so this is S3490, called the No VA Resources for Illegal Aliens Act. My opinion, I think they could have renamed it. And I think that the bill should not just address the ICE involvement. I think that it should be no VA resources for any other agency but the VA. Like, that's just my opinion, right? So basically what this bill says is to prohibit the Secretary of Veterans Affairs from providing health care to or engaging in claims processing for health care for any individual unlawfully present in the United States who is not eligible for health care under the laws administered by the Secretary. So for them, they are directly addressing the ICE issue. But knowing now that it's not just, ICE, but it's the Department of Defense, which, it's a little iffy on that one. But we have Surface Transportation Board, Indian Health Service, and Office of Refugee Resettlement. We have other agencies that the VA is providing similar processing services to, right? That's what the article from the Military Times is saying. I think this bill, my opinion, the bill should be expanded so that the VA is only processing veterans' claims. That's just my opinion. And not just targeting ICE. So there might be some political stuff going on there. Okay. But so I do feel like my thought is that this bill should be expanded to make sure that the VA is only focused on veterans. That's just my opinion. So knowing that this bill has been introduced, we do have also co-sponsors. So we have the Senator Tillis, we have Senator Blackburn, Senator Haggerty, Senator Daines, and Senator Braun. Speaking of Senator Daines, who is from I believe he represents Montana. Yes. So Senator Deans has definitely made his point regarding this issue. He is quoted, or he wrote, Montana has the second highest number of veterans per capita in the country, and every day I hear stories about the deteriorating access to quality care provided by the VA. According to data from the VA at Fort Harrison VA Medical Center, Montana's largest VA healthcare facility, wait times can be as long as 123 days for veterans seeking dental care and 70 days for those needing mental health care appointments. Additionally, there are nearly 318,221 backlogged claims nationally. 300,000 backlog claims nationally, which includes disability compensation and pension claims that have been received by VA that requires development and a decision by a VA claims processor as of September 2023. This represents a nearly 10-year high. In stark contrast, illegal immigrants in ICE facilities appear to face low barriers to accessing specialty or emergency health care. This disparity is unacceptable and dishonors Montana's veterans, who must deal with long wait times and excessive delays to see healthcare providers. So, right. This is unacceptable and dishonors all veterans nationally. Every veteran who has been waiting for their claims to be approved or to, to appeal or whatnot, there's over 300,000 backlog claims. Now, this is the month of January, so we don't know if they've been able to lower this number. I haven't seen that number yet. But the point is those 10 employees, their time should have been used for veterans claims. And I don't know how much smaller they could have reduced that number by for 10 people, but that's still time, effort, energy that could have been used for veterans claims. So I know, I just keep repeating myself because I just can't make this point enough because this is just really upsetting. And again, I'm just focusing on veterans issues. I'm not going to talk about my opinions and my thoughts on the ICE issue. But I will say that my heart breaks for anyone who has to suffer. So right now I just wanted to just kind of point out who is on our House Committee on Veterans Affairs. Just so you know, if you are from this state, your senator or representative, it would be representative, right? Since it's the House. They are in this committee, and especially from Illinois, if you're from Illinois, send a letter to Mike Bost and just be like, hey, good job on, addressing this issue. So we have Mike Bost, we have Raid Wagon from America Samoa. I apologize if I say your name wrong. I really am sorry. Bergman from Michigan, Mace from South Carolina, Rosendale from Montana, Miller Meeks from Iowa, Murphy from North Carolina, Franklin from Florida, Van Orden from Wisconsin, Luttrell from Texas, Cisco Mani from Arizona, Crane from Arizona, Self from Texas, Keegans from Virginia, Takano from California, Brownlee from California, Levin from California, Pappas from New Hampshire, Mirvin from Indiana, Sherphyllis McCormick from Florida, DeLuzio from Pennsylvania, McGarvey from Kentucky, Ramirez from Illinois, Landsman from Ohio, and Badzinski from Illinois. So I think, just my opinion is that I hope, I think we should contact our representatives and our senators about this issue. And I think that we should, my opinion is that they should expand that bill. Or maybe they have to do a new bill, I'm not sure. But I think it should be expanded so that the VA is not using any resources, which they're saying that they're not, that they're that know that ICE has paid for everything. That's cool. That's fine. Um, but it's still time, right? Time is a resource. It is. So, um, I would just highly encourage for those of us that are here to support veterans, or if you're a veteran yourself, we should contact our representatives and senators and let them know how we feel about this, because it is unacceptable and it's dishonoring our veterans nationally, not just Montana, right? But we had that really great quote from Danes, and yeah, I think we should definitely contact them. And I think I think back then it's all letter writing now, and telephone calls. I don't know if nowadays you could just shoot an email, but if you know how to contact your representatives or senators, I would just highly encourage that. It's just my thought that we should really push for this. Yeah, because we have veterans who don't have enough time. Man, yeah, 2002, this has gone on long enough. I think we really need to take a stand on this. And I need to figure out which representative I live in. I moved to California a few years ago, so I'm actually not sure who my representative is. So that's bad on me. I need to figure that out, and I need to contact them, because this is unacceptable for our veterans. Even 10 people, I get that could be a relatively small number in comparison to maybe like how many employees that they have in their office, but that's still, even if it's just one veteran's claim, that's still one veteran's claim that got done that day, and that veteran is going to get the care that he or she needs, that they need, and that's important. So those are my thoughts on this issue, and I hopefully, as we find, as updates and the news continues to update on this, I hope to do another live and just kind of keep track of how this is playing out, and hopefully let's take politics out of this. Let's take politics out of this, and remember that we're focusing on our veterans. All right, so that was that. I hope it wasn't, I hope that wasn't too painful to hear. Oh no, that was me. There we go. Yeah, so if you have your own personal thoughts on that, please leave a comment. I would say, let's live chat. I only have one viewer right now, and I think I know who that viewer is. But yeah, so if you have any comments or thoughts on that, I would love to also have a discussion. If we happen to have a different, opinion, different thoughts, that's totally cool. I'm here to talk. I'm here to have discussions, good ones. We're not gonna start having a yelling match. That's not. I don't like that. I just like to talk, and especially when I talk to someone who has a different opinion than me, I love it because it gets me to think more and more about, okay, so this is my stance, and they just mentioned this fact or this thought, and it makes me process. And sometimes what I find is that it either takes me deeper into understanding why I have the stance that I do, the opinion that I do, and it also gives me a greater understanding of the other person's opinion, and a more understanding of where they're coming from too, because we all come from different walks of life. We've had different experiences, and those things impact how we approach different issues. And so I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you could leave a comment, that would be great. So I'm going to be closing this live soon. I do want to mention one more thing. As I mentioned before, being related to vets.com and veterans.org and the vision that my father, Charles Napier, had for the website. My husband and I are hoping to keep that going. And one of the things that we have talked about is figuring out like where are the needs that we can help with, because there's so many great resources out there. There really are. And it's so wonderful to see that it's not just the government, but we have a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that are helping veterans, whether it's with mental health, finances. I mean, you have like the VA home loans, and although that might be government. Anyways, the point is there's a lot of resources out there. And so we were trying to figure out like, okay, what's something that we can help? And so one of the things that we have come across is, you know, for those of us who live in California, and, you know, there's quite a number of states, I think, that deal with this, is one of the biggest issues is homelessness, right? And my husband read a really interesting article, and he, like, one of the reasons, like, facing homelessness, one things that impact us is, like, an extravagant bill, such as car issues. Like, you know, you have your job, you got your car, and you're going paycheck to paycheck, and then all of a sudden your car breaks down and it's like game over. How are you going to get to work? How are you going to get paid then? Especially when you live in a place that doesn't have very good public transportation, it's extremely difficult. And I know even for myself personally, like my car, it's been a couple of years now. I had a really big issue with it, and I took it to the shop. They were specialized in my car's make and model. They couldn't fix it, but at least at that time, and it was like almost a $2,000 bill, at least at that time, I had the money to cover it. But if that was to happen right now, I couldn't cover it, right? And so, but that is one of the issues that people face that takes them over the edge into homelessness, is because of a huge issue like that. And so what we're hoping to do is that we've already connected with an auto mechanic. I was trying to think of the right word. We have already connected with one auto mechanic, and he is totally willing to help. He's going to close down his shop for that day to the public and open it up, working with us to just provide free oil changes to veterans. And that's going to be here in Big Bear Lake, California. And I believe it's in June. We'll provide further details as we get closer to the date, but that's the thing, right? We're going to be networking, and we want veterans to be able to, you know, if they're still working, they need a functioning car. And since that could be, you know, that could be a big thing that causes you to lose your job if your car breaks down, then, you know, we want to make sure that our veterans, their transportation is well maintained, and so that they can continue to use it. And some veterans, they still need transportation so that they can get to, you know, the VA hospital, especially if you're in a place like Big Bear Lake. Your closest VA hospital, I believe, it's down the mountain. It's about, depending on how fast you drive. So it's like, what, 45 minutes to an hour. You need a car, you need transportation. Granted, now the VA is helping with transportation costs and helping with accessibility. So that's really good too. But if you want to make sure you have a functioning car so they can get around, get your groceries and whatnot, it's just part of life, right? So we just want to help veterans in that way. So it's going to be happening this summer in June. We're going to be doing free oil changes, and we would just really would love your support. I will have our GoFundMe link down in the description below. I actually did not do that earlier, so I will have to add that. But if you would like to help support veterans in that way, we would really appreciate it. It's just one small step that we want to take right now in offering that, and then we're hoping to network even further outside of this area to other areas with other auto mechanics that will offer that service, so that our veterans, you know, they get a free oil change. And oil changes have gotten really expensive. I don't remember them being as expensive as they are now. I think it does depend on like the make and model of your car. But I don't know if it's because of the inflation or whatnot, but they have gotten really expensive. And so even doing an oil change for someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, who's having to, they barely make enough to, you know, just pay their bills and their rent, then an oil change, it's another hit, right? So if we can cover that for them, I think it just helps. It helps in the long run, so that you have a well-running car and one expense that you don't have to worry about. So yeah, we would really appreciate your support in this, because we don't want it to just be our thing. We want it to be for everyone to get involved in helping our veterans. And so yeah, we will be providing more information as we get closer to that date. But yeah, I will definitely have our GoFundMe link down below. And we are definitely going to, you know, show transparency, you know, in this. So, yeah. So thank you for joining me. I think it's just one viewer, which is cool. I still appreciate it. But anyone who is going to be watching this video later, please, again, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this issue, with the VA being, that particular office being used to process other claims that are outside of the VA. I would love to hear your opinion. And again, I just wanted to encourage everyone, please contact your senators and representatives. This is an issue that we should address. Because again, our veterans have a limited amount of time. So I think time is really the issue here, more than the money. So yeah, would love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you found this educational and helpful, and we hope to bring more content like this for you. And if you guys have any issues that you would like us to kind of look into, we would be happy to do that as well. If you have any questions regarding, you know, you can also go to vets.com. We have an Ask a Specialist page. So it used to be Ask Sarge because it was with my dad, but now since my husband was a specialist, we have an Ask a Specialist. So if you have any questions there, you can also send your questions there, and he will be answering those questions for you as well, the best that we can. So yeah, we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.